Alrighty. Welcome to the Neuro-spicy Power Hour, and we are live with the One True Morbs.
Hello, hello.
And we are going to be talking. What are we talking about tonight?
Um,
Literally.
when we first started talking about this a few weeks ago, it was because I was writing about borderline personality disorder. So I guess we could talk about that. We could talk about, really anything. It's all about being neurospicy, and I think we've both got quite the oh, what's the word I want? Quite the cocktail, as it were.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm sure both of our brains get really super spicy on occasion. Like this last week, leading up to whenever I get sick, I always have a cluster of things that go on. Like I'm more likely to go into a meltdown. I'm more likely to be really extra cranky and not really fun to be around. Um,
Absolutely, because I mean,
and just
anytime you're
all that wonderfulness.
dysregulated,
Yes.
anytime you're dysregulated, it's just awful. So
Yeah. And
totally makes
anytime
sense.
you're about to come down with something, oh, hey, the inappropriate heifer is showing up to show us some love. Hello,
Hi,
Hef.
Hef. How are you doing, darling?
Showing up to be inappropriate here. We love you.
I
Welcome.
expect no less from her.
Hey,
It's what we live for.
I love inappropriate behavior. I regularly behave inappropriately just to weird out those around me. You can ask my husband.
Indeed.
um, but yeah, oh, I had the mother of all meltdowns last week when I was building up to this bronchitis, sinus infection, walking pneumonia crap that I've been dealing with. And I just, it was bad. It was one of those rage meltdowns.
Oh, there's the worst.
Oh yeah, it was like I just wanted to throw everything that came to hand. And I have through time and effort and practice, and it's a lot of practice. I've learned to control that urge, but it's not easy. And it's like
Indeed.
yelling at everyone and everything. Hey, Chris, glad to see ya.
How's it going?
Yeah, Chris has been on me this week. He's like, you have got to take time for yourself. You have got to be good to yourself. Yeah, we want to see you and we want to talk to you, but you need to take time for yourself, woman.
Exactly. You've got to work on that self care so that you can be better, so that you can function
Yeah.
when you need to. It's so hard.
Oh, true that. My problem is I I love to help people, and I will forget to take care of myself because I'm so busy helping everybody around me.
Right.
And it's I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing with the people around me. Yeah, thanks, babe. I love you too. And oh wait, you've also got the cootiness because when a small child in your orbit brings the cootiness home from school, everyone she has contact gives ends up with it.
Exactly.
It's like 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
Oh,
My
I
kids.
don't forget. I ignore reminders. Yeah, says the other guy who ignores the reminders. Thanks, babe. I have to practically drag his ass to the doctor when he's sick. And yeah, okay, babe.
It's all right. They want to be tough.
But yeah, I was not fun to deal with last week, was it, babe? I was kind of a
30 miles
royal
away at
pill.
work. Oh, Lord.
Hey, I freely admit that I am queen of the jerk people when I am not feeling good. It's like my hormones are off. I'm coming down with something. Uh, just the moon and the stars and the tide are just not working for me.
The stars are not in alignment. It's all bad.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I get it.
Hey, babe, look who's streaming with me today, as usual.
What are you missing?
Look who's streaming with me. Hi.
Slip-on shoes.
Okay, I will let you lay
I
back.
know one of them is under the coffee table, but I don't know where the other one is.
Well, thank you, dear. I appreciate that compliment.
That's the hardest part, really, when you just have difficulty with like actually asking for help because you're the one that's usually helping, and then it's just like, well, I'm just gonna do it myself, and then when you can't do it and you have to ask, it's just like the worst.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I had to I actually, because I was so far down behind the eight ball, I had to take a day off work because I was just so bad off. And I knew if I didn't, I was gonna be even worse. But I felt horrible having to ask for the day off because I mean I am the worker that my client has. He doesn't have anybody but me and his mom and his family.
Right.
And so I always feel guilty when I have to say, "Hey, I can't do this today." "Oh, thanks, dear. I had to sleep in this spare room because her snoring was keeping me awake." That makes me feel really good. Oh, I love you, baby. Well, Chris got some stuff done today. He caught a mouse and he did his budget and he took a shower and did the laundry. That's that's a lot done in one day.
It really
I
is.
don't
That'd
think.
be all my spoons, honestly.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That would totally wipe out my spoon stash for at least 3 days, especially after the week I've had.
No doubt.
For a couple of days there, just getting up and trying to feed the animals was more than I could do. Yeah, I wish I had your immune system, babe. Even with you being diabetic, your immune system still kicks mine's ass like ridiculously bad. He just he can get the same thing that I've got and be done with it in like 2 days, and I'm still suffering with it a week later.
Right.
And
You're
it's
just
like,
down
ugh.
for
Like
days
I
and
am so
days.
jealous of his immune system, and that's with me taking like all of the probiotics and vitamin C and
Right.
like echinacea and everything and antibiotics on top of that. Just
Man,
doing
if
everything
I
I
don't
possibly can.
if I don't like knock it out early with like lots of zinc and vitamin C and like you said, echinacea and all that, if I don't knock it out before I actually get sick, then it's all over.
Oh, okay. He's saying that he has a good immune system because he's a farm kid. He you never told me you licked the salt block. I knew you ate dirt, but that's typical farm kid stuff. I didn't
That's
realize
true.
that you were licking on the salt block for the the goats and stuff.
Delicious.
Oh my. Well, I guess that's typical farm kid stuff too, because they had goats and stuff at his house, and then his grandpa around their house, they rented out they rented out the pastures around his grandpa's house to a guy that ran beef and dairy cattle. So he would have had plenty. He would have had plenty of cattle around their uh, ability to find a salt block or two to experiment with.
I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking like maybe I should ask Santa for a salt block because that sounds great.
Well, I mean,
I love
apparently
salt so much. It's
apparently
terrible.
it builds a healthy immune system.
I'm gonna guess that's more because he was actually sharing it with other animals.
Possibly, I
there,
don't
there
know.
to be some cross contamination there, and also just because it's outside, so it's probably. Although
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
salt is
There's also
supposed to
all the
be
everything that it gets from being outside too.
right. Although salt is supposed to, you know, it's a preservative, of course. So maybe there's some antibacterial properties or something. I don't know.
Okay, well, if you desire to build up your immune system that way, you can get a salt block at any farm supply store in your area.
Oh,
So,
I'm sure they're all over there. There's
if
a
you're
Tractor Supply down the road from me. Oh,
well,
but
well water
the
isn't
hot.
that bad, babe. It although drinking out of the animal stock tanks and the ponds that might have
I wouldn't
helped with your
recommend that.
immune system as well.
Oh, but you know, I don't know if you remember, but you know, taking a drink out of the water hose in the middle of the summer,
Oh
there was
yes.
nothing like it.
Oh yeah. I was the drink out of the hose kid. I mean, hey, Gen X here, 1978 version.
There you
I
go.
I mean I did that shit. Like we were wild feral children. I was a little bit less feral than the average Gen Xer, but I was still pretty feral. We were allowed to roam the neighborhood and wreak havoc as long as it didn't get us in trouble with the law or the neighbors.
There you go. Oh, good. It's reasonably priced at Tractor Supply. That's good. There's a
Yeah,
few
yeah.
mom and pop ones, but you know, that one's the closest to me, and I'd rather not go to the next town over for a for a salt
Well,
lick. I
that
now you know that now that you're egging me on about this, now I'm gonna have to do it.
your chat's egging you on about it. Oh, that's hilarious. That is absolutely funny. Um, but yeah, a good immune system is a good thing to have. A shitty immune system, well, that goes, I think, probably a lot with the being asthmatic thing. Because when you've got asthma, anything that hits that's a respiratory thing, uh, I don't know how everybody else is with this, but if I get any kind of respiratory thing, it'll start in my face and in my head, and within 2 or 3 days, it's in my chest. It's down in my lungs. And sometimes it doesn't lead to the doctor's office and antibiotics, but more often than not, it does.
That's
Although
rough.
I'm lucky that it doesn't do that more than twice a year. So I mean, there's that. I mean, I could be living in the doctor's office with this shit, but I'm
That's
also
good.
a good girl. I have my friend, Mr. Nebulizer. My friend, Mr. Nebulizer, is a good friend, and he keeps my lungs working proper. Well, I'm glad I could amuse you, dear. My husband's now laughing at me. I'm glad I could amuse you, babe, because that's what I live for. That and feeding cats and providing chewies to dogs. course, the dogs are currently over at my mom's house doing dog stuff and running and being outside. Oh,
All
okie doke.
right.
Oh, he sent us a link for that, but it didn't show up because YouTube buries links.
That's always nice.
And I will have to figure out how to dig that out later. If my computer ever decides to cooperate with us because we are live streaming from my phone. Ah. Oh, hey, my laptop actually decided to boot up. It wasn't even wanting to do that earlier. Oh, hell yeah. It's actually booting up now.
Oh, super.
So maybe we can convince my laptop to cooperate with us. That would be an oh my pearls moment. Oh, Aaron is so funny with that, isn't he?
I love it. That's my favorite thing that he says.
Was that John
My pearls.
Stotowski that sent him those, or who was it?
It had to be John.
he's
That's
so
such
funny.
a John thing to do.
And he keeps them there on his desk where he broadcasts from so that he can grab them, put them on, and grab his pearls.
It's so wonderful. Aaron is, I honestly probably wouldn't have gotten so much into the SUBTV community if I hadn't really started with Aaron. I can't even remember what I saw him on the first time. It was some other channel I watched, and I saw him and I was like, oh, ex-cult stuff. I've got to watch this. And then, of course, Aaron, I just fell in love with Aaron. And, you know, now he brought Reese along with us, and I can't get enough of her.
Reese. Reese is the coolest. She is so awesome.
Reese is directly responsible for everything that I'm doing now because she just built this community, and I was like, you know what? If she can tell her story, everyone has a story. So let's just spread that out a little bit. Because
yeah, I've been talking with
she's
my
got her
therapist.
own circle, and
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, everybody's got their own circles, and they all, you know, spread out in different ways. So, you know, there's a little bit of a chance for overlap, but, you know, the more people who share what they've been through, the more people will see, oh, I've been through this terrible thing also. And, you know, it might be a different terrible thing, but, you know, people can feel heard and seen in ways that they wouldn't otherwise. And so I would not have been brave enough to do what I'm doing now if not directly because of Reese. So I just adore her so much. So much respect for her.
And I mean, it's not just being abused within a cult. It's there's spousal abuse. There's abuse within families. One of my friends that I have been working with, that I've known her forever, and she at one point was somebody that bullied me when we were growing up. And at that time, I didn't know what was going on with her. I just knew that she was she was another kid that was just kind of mean and rude, and she was kind of controlling the other kids around us. And being a child that was undiagnosed autistic, being a child that was undiagnosed dyslexic, I had a whole lot of problems making friends. I didn't really understand how it worked. I didn't know how to approach other kids. And so I tended to make friends with my teachers.
Relatable.
Yeah, because the adults around me were willing to make allowances for my strange behavior when the kids around me weren't. And so they would reach out and support me And I would end up hanging out with them during lunch breaks and after school and stuff like that because they got me. The other kids didn't. And Toy, she was going through some really bad stuff at home that nobody knew about.
Right.
She was being physically abused at home by her mother.
Mm.
I mean, beaten up. I mean, taken in to the bathroom, into the bathtub, and dunked in the bathtub.
That's awful.
Bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were kids, I didn't know about that. I didn't find out about that until years later when she reached out to me to apologize.
That's
She
incredible.
she found me on Facebook and she reached out to me and apologized.
Wow.
And she told me what had been going on with her when she was a child and why she acted the way that she did. And I was like, baby, I forgave you for that a long time ago. I moved past that a long time ago
That's wonderful.
because I understand one of the things that generates a bully is when you're missing power in part of your life.
Right.
And you're not taught a better way to cope with the world. So you're missing power, you're going to do whatever you can to find power. If you can find a way
Mm-hmm.
to find power, and even if that's stealing power from somebody else, you're going to do what you can to find that power and give yourself some kind of power over your world.
Exactly. And I mean,
And
even children who aren't being abused already have such difficulty with that. So pile the abuse on top of that, and it's just a perfect storm for someone like that to suffer and then spread that suffering because they don't know any better. So
well,
I'm
it's
really
it
pleased that she was able to, come back from that and realize, hey, this was wrong and come back to you. So that's wonderful. And you're friends now?
yes.
Oh,
I'm
I
actually
love that.
helping her through a very unfortunate situation she's going through. Shortly after we graduated from, oh, well, she didn't graduate from high school. She actually ended up dropping out because of her home situation.
Sure.
um, but shortly after she would have graduated from high school, she had an option to marry two different men, and she chose, unfortunately, the wrong one. She chose
Mm,
one that was like the situation she grew up with because she was used to being denigrated and talked down to and being treated like crap, but then occasionally love bombed
right.
because the way this guy started out was with the love bombing.
Classic.
And anybody
Hate
that's
to
going to
say it.
that wants to groom you for abuse, that it doesn't matter if it's a cult or another person.
Yep.
It
They're going to
doesn't
find a
matter.
way.
It doesn't matter if it's a group cult like Scientology or a cult of one, a narcissist that wants to use and abuse you.
Yep.
They will start off with love bombing, and they will treat you like you're the greatest thing that they have ever seen on the planet. And then
Yep.
once they have you and they know they have you, that's when they'll flip and they'll be who they actually are.
Yep. But they'll also, breadcrumb you from time to time.
Yeah.
As soon as they see you slipping away, even just a little bit, and then keep you in their clutches as long as possible. That's the hard part, because whenever you're in that situation, and I don't know a ton of your backstory, but for me, when I was in that situation with someone, I have multiple entries in my journal talking about, how I just feel so worshipped and so loved, and it wasn't actually like that, because it was just these little breadcrumbs of not even care, really, just kind of faking it and,
Mhm.
pretending that I actually meant anything. And really, what was actually happening was, I would be refused healthcare. I would be, physically abused, mentally abused. And
Mhm.
I had records of all these things happening also. But, those little bits of validation and positivity that you live for in that situation was just enough to keep going. And it's dreadful.
Yeah. Well, what I'm working on with her right now is getting her self-esteem built back up because she was with this guy for 30 years. And then last December, I think it was the 9th or the 10th, um, last December, he walked out on her. He just left
Wow.
her. And we're talking at this point, this lady, she um, is completely physically disabled.
Oh no.
She is wheelchair bound.
Mm.
She needs a caretaker to help her with even the smallest things. Like she needs someone to help her dress, to help her go to the bathroom. It's like
So
she needs help
completely
with
useless to this guy.
every
So he's done with her.
yeah. And he was her only caretaker at the time.
Right. That's always the way, isn't it?
Yeah, he was her only caretaker, and then he just was done with her and he abandoned her flat because one of the things that she's currently dealing with medically is she's got I don't know if you know what a pannus is.
Not familiar.
It's PANNUS. It's basically walled off infection. It's a walled off
Oh,
pocket of
okay.
infection.
Gotcha. Okay.
And this it started and this is what we were talking about on the lives that we did about PCOS.
Right.
Um, when you're in an area that you have limited access to healthcare and the doctors that are in that area know that you can't afford to go to the next town over for your medical care, even if it's just a 20-minute drive or a 45-minute drive, a lot of the people in my hometown, they can't afford to go down to Tulsa, which is like
Right.
45 minutes away. They can't afford that drive. So the doctors in my hometown of Bartlesville, they know they have a captive audience and they can treat those people the way that they want. And they can give them as little or as much medical care as they want. And they know that these people do not have a choice and they also cannot afford to sue doctors for
Mm-hmm.
malpractice or failure to
Exactly.
provide medical care.
Yep.
And so when this pan started off, where it would have been easily removed and it wasn't really interfering with her life at that time, um, it could have been easily removed, but no doctor in Bartlesville would touch it. No doctor in Bartlesville would ultrasound it or explore it or do anything with it. And she talked to, I don't know how many of the doctors there in town. And we're talking, this is not a small town. This is a last census that I paid attention to was the population of 35,000 in town.
Mm.
So it's not tiny, but it's very blue collar.
Sure.
It used to have a lot of white collar because Phillips Petroleum was based there. But when Phillips Petroleum merged with Conoco and moved most of the headquarters down to Houston, uh, it became mostly blue and pink collar with very little white collar jobs. And once that shift happened, then you noticed a huge shift in the quality of medical care that people in Bartlesville could get. And it just went downhill from there. And so she went to all the different doctors that she could find in Bartlesville that would take her insurance. And she's also being fully disabled on Social Security disability and Medicare. Well, not every doctor takes Medicare, so you have to work within the Medicare system.
Right.
And Sooner Care is very hard to work with.
I
Hard.
vividly remember that because I lived in a little town outside of Tishomingo for a few years, and yeah, Sooner Care was the worst.
Yeah, Sooner Care is trash. It's really horrible to work with. It's better than nothing. I will say that. But yeah. So she fought with that and she fought with it. And it's been 3 years now that this thing has been allowed to grow unchecked. It weighs 50 pounds.
Good Lord.
And where it's attached is her lower belly. Can you imagine how much a 50-pound thing hanging from your lower belly is going to inhibit your ability to walk and move about without assistance?
Do literally anything.
Yes. I mean, I was down there on the 1st and the 2nd this month, and I watched what she deals with, and I'm like, and he left you in the middle of this with the excuse, I didn't sign up for this?
That's
After
horrible.
after 30 years.
30 years. Yeah, that's insane.
Well, he's been diagnosed by a mental health professional as a narcissist.
Oh, it's not surprising.
And she could no longer serve him, so what use was she?
Right. Pathetic,
And so he just cast her off a year ago. And it's been a year now, and I've watched the journey that she's gone through over the last year. And at first she was like, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? I love him and I need him. What did I do wrong? And it's
right.
like, babe,
And
you didn't do anything wrong.
It was never about you, darling.
Yeah, it was never you. It was never about you. It was you weren't able to give him what he wanted anymore, so he was done with you. And that's not your fault. And anybody that's going through that, if your significant other has cast you off through no fault of your own just because you couldn't give them what they wanted, because circumstances changed, situations changed, your health changed. It's like, yeah, you didn't sign up for it. He didn't sign up for it. Well, she didn't either.
I was literally just going to say that. It's not like she signed up to be sick.
She freaking wants a 50-pound thing hanging from the bottom of her stomach? Really? No, really not.
Yeah, nobody chooses that.
Yeah, well, she's finally gotten to where she's found 2 doctors in Tulsa. One is going to remove the panis, and the other one is going to do bariatric surgery for her, going to do a gastric sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's also diabetic. She's also type 2 diabetic. She's got some other congenital conditions, autoimmune conditions that she's dealing with. She's got a lot of damage to her spine from her childhood abuse, and just all kinds of stuff. But she's got one more appointment with the bariatric surgeon, and then
our film and the game industries are getting wild at this point. We have a blue hedgehog who is Usain Bolt and cats taking over the world.
All right. I've seen that meme, darling.
That's interesting.
Well,
cats are taking over the world.
So go on, all right?
Okay.
We'll play some more later, all right? This one.
Kiddos are fun. I love kids.
He's the best. He's 8, and every meme is new to him, of course. So you've got to just appreciate the newness.
Well, the reason why I like working with kids is it's you get to experience everything that you've already experienced, but you get to experience it in a new way through their
new eyes.
perception of it.
Exactly.
And it just kind of makes it like, oh, I never thought of it that way. And when you think of it that way, that's a new and different way to think about that.
Absolutely.
Fun times with pneumonia. Yay. Living with Mucinex and Dayquil and amoxicillin, and I'm off the prednisone. I finished the prednisone yesterday.
I do not miss it.
Prednisone
is the worst.
No, that prednisone is not my favorite medication. I mean, it works and it does what I need it to do, which is make my lungs work better. But that is some of the nastiest meds. Oh, those things taste fucking nasty.
Right.
So
I had it in an inhaler for a long time because of the sarcoidosis. And Lord, it was the worst because you take it and then that's all you can taste all day. Doesn't matter.
Vicks Vapor Rub, yeah. That's what an inhaler tastes like. Albuterol, the stuff for my nebulizer too. That tastes freaking nasty, but prednisone is a totally different kind of nasty.
It really is. Oh.
It's like you can get used to the nasty of the albuterol, but prednisone, that's just
it's an entirely different animal. Oh.
It's like prednisone is kind of I want to toss my cookies kind of gross because yeah.
It really is. It really is. I don't miss it. Although one time I got it in a tablet form and that wasn't so bad, but it still had a weird taste, but at least it didn't just like hang around in your mouth. But I had to use the inhaler version because the pills didn't work so well.
Oh, I've never had to use the inhaler version. I've always used the tablets, and so it's like if you don't get that thing swallowed the first time, every time, you better make sure you have something to kill the taste to clear your palate afterwards because oh my. And if you don't, you're going to end up throwing up that pill and everything else that you had before it.
Right.
It is bad. It's like I used to think that metformin was the nastiest thing. No. It's a dead heat between prednisone and propranolol, which that's what I take as an emergency rescue medication for my anxiety. And funny thing, it's an off-label use for propranolol because the medication is actually a beta blocker.
Oh, interesting.
So what it does what a beta blocker is and what it does is it's a vasodilator, which means the primary symptom for an anxiety attack is that rush of that spike in blood pressure, that rush, that hot red rush that you feel as you're getting that anxiety spike. And that's what that calms down is that hot red rush because it makes your blood vessels dilate.
Right.
And so that calms that symptom down and that cuts it off. And I'm like, that is, until I was working with the doctor's office that I'm currently with, I never had anybody recommend that to me. I never had anybody suggest that to me. But yeah, I really love my doctor's office that I'm with now because they listen, which is huge, and they're
Like we
really
were
good at
talking about
working.
last time, that's unheard of. So
Yeah,
amazing.
it's huge, and they're really good at working with the Neuro-spicy folks, which is also huge
Hmm.
because I don't have to sit there and explain to them 50 times, "Hey, I'm autistic and I have sensory issues, and yeah, you want to do that COVID test on me, you better be prepared for me to have a meltdown."
Right.
Cuz yeah, when I went out on Tuesday, I went into the walk-in clinic and I went in and they were like, "Do you think you might have COVID?" I was like, "If you want to do a COVID test, just be aware I've got enough sensory stuff going on, and I am autistic and I live with SPD, sensory processing disorder.
Hmm.
It could potentially, very likely, throw me into a sensory meltdown. So be aware that that is a possibility. If you think you need to do it, I will attempt to write it out, but I cannot make any guarantees."
Fair enough.
It's like no promises, but it's like if you think that's what needs to happen, we'll ride that ride and see where things go.
Did they have to administer one? Or
No,
did,
thank
did
God,
it?
because that
It's-
would have gone bad places, man. That would have absolutely gone bad places,
no doubt.
and I wouldn't have wanted it to. But with meltdowns, you can't control that shit. Your body goes, "Oh, hey, this is too much. Guess what? Bleh."
Exactly. We're done here. We're done here.
It's like over. Oh, hey, you have overloaded the system. Guess what? It is
Error
purge time.
404. It's the blue screen of death.
That's pretty much that. I've never heard it put that way, but that is pretty much exactly what it is. The blue screen of death.
For me, whenever I get to that point, it's just like, nope, no more. We're gonna reset, and it's gonna be ugly.
Yeah,
Everything is shutting down. You've lost all your work.
it's like system crash.
Exactly.
Good luck, all you good luck, all your friendly people. Oh, that's bad business. That's some bad business. And that kind of meltdown, I can't even predict exactly what it's going to turn into.
Right.
I can usually predict based on my mood what it's going to become, but with something like that, it could turn into a rage meltdown, or it could just turn into me screaming and flapping my hands and trying to stim myself to calmness, and it's not going to work, but I'll still
Hmm.
try.
Gotta do what you know.
Yep. Oh, my lungs are trying to stick with us here. They're only interfering mildly.
That's good. I was a little worried about it when you were telling me the other day.
And then I say that, and then they act up even more. The moment it's like a little kid. Once you start bragging on it, that's when it's going to act up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like any kind of this kind of stuff. It's gonna go somewhere fun. But with Toy, it's like, yeah, she's stuck in this place where she can't. She literally has no control over what's going on, and
Right.
but seeing her a year ago and seeing the way that she is today, she had one of her appointments last week with her gastric, with her with her bariatric doctor. And the nurse, she's been there enough times that she's made friends with one of the nurses, and the nurse had met her soon to be ex-husband. I can't wait until he's her ex-husband because he's complete piece of work.
Sounds like it.
And I'd never met him in person before last weekend. I'm glad I never met him in person because that he came in all hail fellow well met because he didn't really know me. He's encountered me in passing on telephone calls with Toy and all that, but he never met me. So he was on his best behavior. He was all hail fellow well met and cheerful and being friendly and cute because he came. We were at the Bartlesville Christmas parade because Toy's daughter wanted to go see the Christmas parade, and that was the only opportunity she was going to get because Toy can't drive. And she doesn't even have a car to get around in, even if she could drive. So
Sure.
that was the only opportunity they were going to get to go see the parade. And so we went, and he wanted to come see his daughter, and I was like, well, that's up to her. That's his daughter's choice. She's old enough. She's 14. The age of decision on seeing parents or not seeing parents in Oklahoma is 12. So she's over that age, and she's at the age where she can choose. Does she want to see him? Does she not want to see him? Okay, she wanted to see him, so he came and met us where we were. And he was being all friendly and everything until the moment when Toy revealed that she knew something about the child custody stuff that he didn't.
Uh-oh.
And she was trying to make sure he knew because she was trying to be the good person and keep things friendly and on the level.
And that doesn't work with a narcissist, unfortunately.
No, it doesn't. But she was willing to try, and she was going the extra mile to try to do that.
Absolutely.
And as soon as she did that, the minute she did that, he flipped. And then the real dude came out. And oh, that made my skin crawl. I don't know. I've been around a lot of narcissists. I'm related to one. My dad's brother is one. He's a lot of other things on top of being a narcissist, but but yeah, I don't know. I don't know, and I don't care how many times I've watched a narcissist flip and go back into their real behavior and let the mask fall off. But every single time it makes my skin crawl.
It's always ugly. It's so terrible to see.
Well, it's so completely unnatural. And that's why it freaks me out, is it's unnatural for that to happen. So every instinct that I've got goes
this spoon. It'll make sense in a minute.
Okay. I have been given a spoon.
Single instinct that I've got when it was red alert time, because it was like, no, this is not okay. Something that is not okay is happening here.
Right.
And so he went from being all friendly and everything to tearing her down every chance he could get. Everything he said, he was ripping her down.
Well, after 30 years, he's got to know every single button she's had. I mean, he probably programmed most of them.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he did. And the ones that he didn't, her mom did.
Right.
And so it's just a difficult thing to watch her go through, but watching her grow and watching her start to learn what the real world is actually like, and what real genuine love is actually like, and watching her start to change those thoughts and beliefs where I'm not worthy, I'm not worth it, I'm a terrible person and I deserve what I'm getting.
So lift your sandwich up by the bread, and I'm going to put this under it, and then scoop it out with the spoon.
Thank you. Just half of it. I'm not going to eat all that.
Mm-hmm.
It smells amazing. Thank you.
Yep.
Getting yourself
Thank
something to eat there.
Yes. Chicken Philly.
Oh, nice.
I'm very excited about this.
Cool.
I hope it's good. I know it'll be good.
Well, if it smells
He's
good,
an
it usually
excellent
tastes
chef.
good.
He's an excellent chef. So.
Well, that's good to know. It's always good to have someone around
Oh,
you that
yeah.
can cook good.
I apologize if anyone's upset by mouth noises, but this is delicious.
Hey, I'm good. Nutrition is important.
Mm.
I'm a diabetic. You eat when you got to eat.
I have a really bad habit. I'll get so busy doing things like working, and today I got my headphones, so I'm able to edit audio again. So I've been trying to catch up with my recordings from the last couple of weeks. And so I got set on doing that today, and I just completely spaced on eating. So
Oh, I do that. I'm guilty. I'm guilty of that. Especially being on Trulicity, my body forgets to remind me to eat, and then it'll be 5 o'clock, and I'm wondering why I'm cranky. Oh wait, I didn't eat lunch. Oh wait, did I even eat breakfast? I don't know. Check my blood sugar. Oh
food
shit.
never happens.
Check my blood sugar. Oh shit.
I was on Wellbutrin for years, and that stuff did the same thing, just like completely shuts off, at least for me, pretty much any drive you have, including eating. So like I would just go for days. I'd remember my medication, but there's no signals from your brain going, you require nutrition.
Hey, feed me, Seymour. Feed me.
So
actually, that's one thing that
if I didn't have somebody, go ahead.
Your body's going, feed me, Seymour. Well, or not. So you need somebody there that will, hey, when was the last time you ate?
Exactly.
Have you eaten today?
Exactly.
Hey, girl, have you eaten today? If you haven't, you should eat. Go eat. Food is important.
Literally just bring me a sandwich, because I probably haven't.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I both love and hate about prednisone is it will drive my hunger. Which, when I'm really sick, I actually need that, because I won't eat because I'll get feeling so dumpy that I won't be interested in eating.
Mm-hmm.
But when the medication is like, hey, guess what? Yo, food is good. Food is important. Give us food. When I've got that going on, then it's like, well, then I have to. Because I'm one of those people, if I don't quiet those hunger signals, they're going to make me crazy until I do.
Yeah, if you get really cranky, then it's
I get unfriendly when I am hungry. It's like I get hangry. Very, very hangry.
Do you remember those Snickers commercials that they did?
Oh yeah.
You don't feel like yourself when you're hungry. Those were relatable for sure.
It's like you're not you when you're hungry.
That's it. No, you're not you.
No, I'm not. I'm very not me when I'm hungry. I turn into a completely different person, and I am not friendly or nice to be around. You want to go somewhere else. But before you go somewhere else, hey, dude, when did you eat last? Maybe you should eat. But I've also got this other problem. If it's been too long since the last time I ate, if I don't do something to like prime the system first, when I go to try to eat, I will throw up everything that I just ate. So if
Oh
I get
gosh.
too hungry, I have to like do something, have some kind of a peppermint or a caffeinated beverage that's got sugar in it or something to like get my body ready for food.
To kind of jumpstart the system a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if I just go straight for food, it doesn't matter what I'm eating. It doesn't matter if it's like the most benign thing on the planet. If I go straight for food, it's going to come right back. And that's been a problem that I've had since I was a little kid. I was tiny when I first started having problems with it. And I tried to warn my dad about it once. He took me and my older sister to a Star Trek convention in Tulsa. And coming back, we stopped at McDonald's and I told Dad I needed something to eat. And he was like, "You can wait until we get home. It's just a half hour. I'll just get you something to drink. And then when we get home, you'll eat and it'll be okay." I was like, "No, Dad, I need to eat. I need food." And of course, he just got me a drink. He didn't get me any food. So when we got home and I tried to eat supper, I ate because I was really hungry. And yeah, that didn't stay where I put it. All over the living room floor.
And I hate that too because, oh my God.
And I was really mad because I was hungry and I wanted that. I was so mad.
One thing.
And then I was really mad at Dad because I was like, "I told you I needed food. I needed to eat."
Exactly. This is why it's so important to listen to children, because
and you did not listen to me.
They may not know everything, but they know their bodies for sure. So if something's wrong, let's tell us
if
what's
I've
wrong
got a
so we
kid
can help
that's
you.
telling me I am hungry, like I am drop dead, starving to death hungry, I'm gonna give them food. I might not give them a whole lot of food, especially if we're on our way somewhere that's gonna be food. But I will at least give them some kind of snack that's like a substantial snack.
I'm sure that even just like a few fries would have done you just fine.
Yeah.
And then you would have been home
or
and
a
you would have
small
been okay.
cheeseburger. I mean, an order of fries or just a small cheeseburger or something like that, that would have done just fine. Exactly. And I would have been okay, and I wouldn't have had problems when I got home. But because I didn't have that some kind of substantial snack, then when I got home, it was huge problems. And Mom knew as soon as she saw me that I had gone way past when I needed to eat.
Right.
And she got on to Dad for it. And I'd been getting on to Dad for it because I felt like crap. And yeah, it's just like, but that whole listening to kids when they're telling you what's going on with their bodies, the kid's telling you they are hungry hippo. Just give them something. It doesn't matter what it is. Oh,
it's all important.
Yeah, but yeah, that's to this day I will listen to a kid when they say they are absolutely hungry. I don't deny kids food ever, under any circumstance. And actually, my client's mom kind of gets on to me a little bit for it sometimes, because I will let my client's younger brother and sister have snacks or whatever throughout the day. And it's because I don't deny kids food. It's like, can I have a snack? Well, I look at what time it is. I think about how long it's been since we had breakfast or lunch or dinner. And I think about how much longer we've got until breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And then I make my decision based on that. And if it's a reasonable amount of time between when the last time they had a meal and when the next time it's going to be a meal, then my answer is going to be yes. And it's most often going to be as long as you get something that is healthy. It has to be
Right.
something that is good for your body, that is not junk food.
Mm-hmm.
Get a piece of cheese, get a piece of meat, get a piece of fruit. Something that is going to let your body grow. So that's not
Exactly.
chips.
That's what we do at our house.
Yeah, that's not
We
chips. That's
keep-
not junk food. That is food that
Right.
will help your body grow. And
We
does that mean
keep,
that, yeah, sometimes
fresh
we won't?
fruit, pretty much. Good.
That does mean sometimes we won't eat as much supper or lunch or whatever when it comes that time. That's okay. It just means that that's not
Right.
a hungry kid. That's a kid that's been well fed.
Mm-hmm. Nutrients.
And sometimes mom gets annoyed by that, and I'm like, well, it's not my policy to let kids go hungry, because I've been there, done that, and it is not a glorious thing when you are somebody that you have sensory issues, and that feeling of being hungry is too much.
Right.
And that's something that I've always dealt with when I've got that feeling of being hungry. And that's why I went off being on metformin, is that feeling of being hungry all the time was too much. I mean, it was constantly sending me into meltdowns, and I was telling the doctors that I was dealing with about it, and they were like, well, you just got to suck it up and take that medication anyway. No, I don't. There's got to be options. There's got to be alternatives. Oh, that's what we're going to give you. So too bad. Like, objection. Yeah, my body. This is my body. I get to say what goes into my body.
Mm-hmm.
And you can prescribe what you want, all you want. But unless I go take it and get it from the pharmacy and pay for it and then put it in my body, you can write all the prescriptions you want. It ain't going to do nothing. So you can do that, or you can prescribe me something that I will actually take and I will actually put in my body. It will actually fix the problem. And that's one of the things
Right. There you
that I was
go.
looking for when that's one of the things I was looking for when I got with this doctor's office that I'm with. It's like when I told them that was the reaction that I was getting from all the other doctors that I was going to, they were like, well, that's stupid. There's this medicine, that medicine, and this other medicine that all do the same thing that does without that side effect. Huh. I think that's what I was saying all along.
Right.
Nobody was listening to me. It's like nobody was listening to me. Huh. Hey, guess what? I'm not a dummy. I actually know what's going on.
It's almost like you live in your own body and know what's happening to it.
Holy shit, that's a shocker.
So weird.
I know, crazy stuff. But yeah, it's like that's the reaction that I've gotten from doctors all my life. And now I'm actually having doctors that are like, hey, yeah, okay, we're gonna listen to what you're saying. And this is what we've got to say. And what do you think about that? It's like they're asking me what I think. It's like, well, when I went in for this crap on Tuesday, it was very simple. It was, okay, run through the checklist of the meds that I'm currently on, or they thought that I'd been on most recently. Okay, you're still on these things. Yes. Okay, how do you react to this thing, and why is Cipro on the list of things that you do not want? Severe diaper rash. Does that mean anything to you?
Me personally,
In general.
because I've had children, so I've definitely experienced it. Not
Well,
personally that I recall, but it's bad enough.
I have personal experience as an adult with severe diaper rash because of Cipro. I have
Gotcha.
personal experience with Bordeaux's butt paste as an adult because of Cipro.
Now, I do swear by that stuff because I don't know about you, but I've got the thunder thighs. So in the summertime, my thighs get really chafed. And that Boudreaux's is the best for preventing the thigh chafe.
Hey, Bordeaux's butt paste for the win, man. I totally swear by that.
It is so good. It is so good.
It's like, put it on your kids, put it on yourself, put it on your granny that she's having some issues. That shit works. It absolutely does. But my thing is, when there is a medication that causes severe issues with the most sensitive skin on your body, and it doesn't clear up until 3 weeks after you finish taking the medication, that's a little
no good.
Not nice. That's uncalled for. That's the side effect is worse than the problem you're trying to fix. I'm all about killing the cooties. I love killing the cooties. I don't love the killing my cooter to kill the cooties. You feel me?
Let's not do that.
Yeah, I'm not down with that. And so it's like every time I have a doctor ask me, why don't you like Cipro? Why don't you take Cipro? Why is it listed as an allergy? Yeah. That's a fun discussion.
It's perfectly reasonable. I wouldn't do
it. And I try to go at it from like the least embarrassing angle, and especially guy doctors, they've obviously the ones that I've run into, the guy doctors, especially the younger guy doctors, I've never been around children that have had diaper rash, because the first time I tried that with a younger guy doctor, as an explanation, he just looked at me like, what? He got that deer in the headlights thing. Like, he had no idea his train of thought had stopped between stations and it was not moving. I had stalled his train of thought. It was a sad situation when I knew more about what was going on than the doctor did. It's kind of embarrassing.
I can imagine.
Guanti, Mr. Kitty. Doodle says I should scratch his head. And now he's hugging my hand so that I will scratch his head better. You sound like you're a little cootie-licious. Or is that just the sarcoidosis?
I don't think so, but
the sarcoidosis getting to you?
I think I just swallowed wrong, because I took a drink and then all of a sudden it was like, no, my throat doesn't like that.
Wrong pipe issue?
It happens. It's not a big deal. No, I think so. It doesn't feel like it, but it's just that little tickle. But it's all right. No, the sarcoidosis, I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, was
Yeah, we did.
I smoke to to keep that under control. And my doctor's just kind of like, well, if it works, that's fine. I'm not going to tell you should do that because it's bad for you.
I'm not going to say that you should, but I'm also not going to say that you shouldn't. So we're just going to pretend it's not happening.
But I'm very excited because they have finally started releasing licenses for dispensaries here. They've been putting it off for like 2 years and doing everything in their power to avoid actually following through on the legislation that passed a couple of years ago. But they got the state got sued by everyone who had previously received licenses and then were told, well, those aren't valid. So they're finally doing it.
Nice.
So it looks like we're going to get at least one dispensary here in town. So I'm excited that hopefully by the end of the summer, I'll have a natural solution to medicating all my various issues because, you know, it helps with anxiety. It helps with sleep disorders. It helps with
we are
pain,
changing
which I have
location.
chronic pain. Oh, you're good. And
Go plug my phone
and
in.
it's one of the things that really helps with the sarcoidosis. So I'm really hoping that they're going to follow through, and maybe here in 6 or 7 months I'll be able to medicate more naturally than I've been able
really
to do
cool.
ever.
That is super exciting. I hope that actually does come to fruition for you, because that cannabis is an amazing medication.
It is.
And it's so misunderstood and it's so maligned because it's misunderstood.
Well, and, you know, the entire reason that they shut down cannabis production and made it illegal was because hemp farmers got upset about it. And they wanted to corner the market. No, I'm sorry. Cotton farmers wanted to corner the market because hemp is so, you can use it for everything. So they decided, well, if we make all cannabis plants a schedule, whatever it is,
Schedule
illegal
1
drug, then the cotton, right? I guess so. I don't know anything about it. I just know it's not legal.
Oh,
so
I know quite a bit about why hemp became illegal in the first place, and yeah, it was because the cotton farmers, because hemp can be used for so many different
everything, including right. So
it's a medication. You can use it for fabrics. You can use it for housing.
Out of it.
You can use it to make paper. You can use it. There's almost nothing that you can't use hemp for.
Exactly.
And so because
we can control prescription medications as well. Yes, let's do that. Let's keep people on these horrible chemical combinations.
And then the pharmaceutical companies, THC can fix a whole lot of things. So let's make marijuana, which is the other side of the cannabis family, because people don't understand. Cannabis is separated into 2 families. You have hemp and you have marijuana. Hemp is low THC, high CBD. Marijuana is high THC, low CBD. So within the cannabis family, you can pick what you need. If you're needing more CBD for pain control, and CBD will control your pain, then that's what you go for. If you're needing more of the psychoactive stuff to adjust your brain chemistry so that your brain chemistry is right, then you'll go for the THC product. And one of my buddies, he's monopolar depressive, which I don't know if I've discussed this on here or not. So everybody's familiar with bipolarism, where you've got normal, you've got manic, and you've got depressive. Well, with monopolar, you can have normal and manic, or you can have normal and you can have depressed. Well, my buddy, he is monopolar depressive. And I've watched him go through, I don't know how many different pharmaceutical depression meds. None of them have managed his depression as well as cannabis. None of them.
Exactly.
On cannabis,
I mean, that's not surprising at all.
He is the most well-regulated that he has ever been. And I've known the dude since he was 18. He's 43 now.
Wow.
So I've known the dude 23 years. And absolutely nothing that I've ever seen him take for his depression has managed him better than cannabis. And I realize that it does not work for everyone because everybody's body is different.
Body's different.
Yeah, we're all different. What works for me won't necessarily work for you. What works for you won't necessarily work for John Q. Public. But that's why we have all of these options. That's why there is Zoloft and Prozac and Lexapro and all of that. And cannabis. That's why there is all of that. Is so that you can kind of take the adventure down the, okay, what med is going to work for me?
Right.
And yet with mental health meds, it can get frustrating because there are so many options and there's so many different ways to tackle all of the different problems. And one med might not work for you, the next med might not work for you. But once you hit that one that fixes the problem, that gets things running the way you need it to, it's like you've hit the magic button. It's like this magic thing.
Oh. And that it's really great when you first get there. But I don't know about you, but because I tend to have higher resistance to things like pain, I also have a higher resistance to pain and other medications as well. Yes. So after a while, the medication just doesn't do enough. And what's their answer? Well, let's prescribe you a higher dosage. But at some point, the higher dosage may come with side effects that far outweigh the benefits of what that medication is treating. And if that's the only medication that works for you, then you're just out of luck.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
I kind of like to get in on a discussion with Tommy because his point of view on this would be very interesting.
Fantastic.
Because he knows so much
wisdom.
He knows so much about different meds and the way that they react and the way things that they do in the body and whatever. This would be a really fun discussion to have with him. But yeah, it's like, if that's the only med that works for you and it stops working and then you get to a point where you're at a dosage where the side effects are worse than the problem. It's like my problem with Cipro. It's like, is having your most personal skin torn up for 3 weeks after you finish the medication, is that really worth fixing the problem?
I mean, that would be a deal breaker for me. For sure. The first
totally.
time it happened, I would be like, nope, we're done here.
Yeah, I mean, I had an encounter with it that was so bad. I mean, it took almost a month to get everything healed up, and so that I wasn't having to use the butt paste for the originally intended purpose.
That's awful.
Almost a month later. It was freaking bad. And it was at that point that I put that on the fuck this, no list.
We are not having it.
It's like, no more. Not again. Never again. I refuse. That's my only option. I'll just die. Thank you. Because death is preferable.
At some point, yeah, it becomes like, just no, we're not doing this anymore. I would rather have a really, really long nap. You know what? Just wake me up when I'm better.
Yeah, dude, I'd rather die ugly than have to deal with my bits being torn up like that. No, thank you.
No,
that that hurts so bad. So bad. And anytime my client's little sister, she has any kind of issues with her personal bits, I understand hardcore what she is dealing with, because that is so unpleasant. And I mean, as an adult, I can manage it and I can power through it, especially since I'm used to living with pain. But she's 5. 5-year-olds shouldn't have to, like, understand how to cope with that. It's like, no.
Exactly.
We got to fix this kid's problem.
Immediately.
Oh, yeah. It's like, there's so many issues kids have that people that don't have kids would never dream of. And having to figure out inexpensive over-the-counter remedies versus having to go to the doctor's office all the time for something as simple as a yeast infection. Incidentally, solution for that, if you don't want to go with the over-the-counter lady problem fixer issue things, Lotrimin AF works very well.
Okay, so this is not a problem I have frequently. I actually only have a problem with that when I'm on antibiotics. So what I have found is rather than using, for instance, what's the brand name? I don't know. Anyway, one of the lady part medications, if you take the plunger that you get with it and some Greek yogurt, stick it in the freezer.
Oh, that would feel good, kind of.
Once it's frozen, do what you got to do. Sleep with that. You know, like, go to bed so that you're lying down so nothing's falling out and going where you don't want it. And wake up in the morning, all gone. And
nice.
Yes, it does feel great because, you know, the cooling is helping with the burning sensation.
I'm sure.
But the probiotics get your lady parts going, oh, we're supposed to be doing something. Right. Sorry. The antibiotics made me confused.
Yeah,
So,
I'm thinking that's why I was excited that I wasn't having to do the super high high-powered antibiotics because anytime I
Mhm.
have to like do Keflex or anything like that, I do have an issue with yeast infections and stuff like that afterwards because it just throws everything completely off.
It's all out of whack. Yeah.
But yeah, Lotrim and AF for athlete's foot. That actually does work to fix the yeast infection. That's our
I would
go-to.
imagine so. At least for the external bit, I would imagine so. But for a good internal cleanse, as it were, I
Yeah,
ran across that on I don't even know, years ago. Some I had a yeast infection because I was on antibiotics and I had no idea because it was the first time I'd ever had one. I was like, what is going on? And people were recommending this one or that one, and I was like, I'm
yeah,
not above
because
doing
it
medication,
itches and it
but what
hurts.
do I have on hand?
Um,
But what do I have on hand that I can actually use right now because I can't get to the store?
yeah,
And they were
it's
like, well,
two
just
o'clock
eat
in the
some
morning
green
and
jelly.
the local Walmart is closed.
Right. That was exactly the situation too. Where I was living, there was no 24-hour anything. Of course, now there's no 24-hour anything past pandemic, but before I was in this, I think it actually was happening when I was living outside Tishomingo. So I got online and I was like, what can I use now? And they were like, Greek yogurt. And I said, I have that. I have
Like,
that
I
right
got some of
now.
that.
I
It's
can
like,
do this.
okay.
And let me tell you, life changing. I've only had to do it a couple of times because I almost never get antibiotics for anything. I'll just weather the storm. But when I do, great preventive. Of course, you can eat it, but it takes longer for
Yeah,
everything to process properly. So,
it's
but
like,
the crazy thing is that it doesn't hurt the antibiotics to do that. Like, it doesn't mess with you.
yeah. Well, that's
They're
handy
not biting.
information to have, and for anybody that stumbles across this, they're gonna go, "Oh, hey, that's a solution to a problem that I have." Well, the
We can
Lotrimin works really well for
hope.
Little Miss because mostly when she gets a yeast infection, it is all on the outside because it's due in large
Right.
part to the fact that we don't necessarily always wipe ourselves properly.
Well, you said she was 5, so that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. Well,
That's just some learning there.
at least we've worked past the problem that was causing the really bad yeast infections because
Mm.
used to at one point we were wiping our backside and then wiping our front.
Oh no, 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 no.
Oh yes, oh yes,
I'm glad.
that was happening.
I'm.
That was totally happening.
Oh, bless her heart, poor thing.
And it took us a while to convince her that that was not the way to handle the
Mm.
problem and that she needed to do it the other way around
Right.
and that would solve her problem. And yeah, that was a little bit of a process. But these are things that people that don't have kids,
You can't be prepared for it. You can't. You
yeah,
just have to get there, and then once you're there, you figure it out. And until
yeah,
you have children, you can't even imagine.
yeah. It's like I'd never had to deal with this directly with my buddy April's kids because she handled all that stuff.
Sure.
And I wasn't as directly hands on with all that. But with these kids, I am very directly hands on and I am there almost every single day. Um, and so I am a daily part of these kids' lives. And I
Right.
mean, I love what I do for a living. I love working with my client. I love working with his siblings. I love his mom. I love his mom's boyfriend, who's also my husband's best friend. Which you'd think that would be kind of a weird little situation, but it's actually kind of interesting and it's kind of fun. And we kind of
It's great
hooked
that
in.
that's a positive experience.
Well, my husband's buddy was having problems finding a partner because everybody that he got with would like use him as a meal ticket and then dump him.
Right.
And then my boss was having an issue because she has a 19-year-old special needs child who's now a special needs adult, a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old. And she was having trouble finding somebody that would fit the bill as a father figure for these kids, and that wouldn't get jealous of me or my husband's relationship with the children.
Right.
Because me and Colby, we've been around for a huge chunk of the 9-year-old's life and all of the 5-year-old's life. So we have an established relationship with those children. And a lot of the guys that my boss was dating would be okay with me, but then they'd come in and Colby would be there, and the 5-year-old, she'd be playing with the boyfriend, and then Colby would come in and she would ditch the boyfriend and my Colby. And yeah,
Okay.
that's generally where that ended. So it was like, well, what do we do? And then me and Colby got together and we were like, well, hang on here. We have your friend who needs a partner, who needs somebody who's stable. He wants kids. He likes kids. He's good with kids. These kids already know him and already like him. My boss needs somebody to have as a partner and a dad figure type person who won't be jealous of my husband and my husband's relationship with these kids.
Right.
Well,
Sounds like a win-win-win.
Colby's best friend knows that Colby has an existing relationship with these children, has no problem with it. And we're about, I don't know, 9-10 months down the road with this, and everything is clicking right along. And it's turned
That's
into magic,
fantastic.
and my boss is happy. Colby's buddy's happy. The kids are happy. We're happy. My client's happy. Hey, magic happens.
You can't say fairer than that. You really can't.
Yeah, I mean,
wonderful.
we were really reluctant at first to do it because it was the whole, what if it goes really, really south? That would make it really awkward.
Sure.
That would make it super awkward if things went south, but that's not the way it went. And so
Right.
looks like this is going to be a good deal, and everybody's getting along and everybody's happy. So like, I think we hit that one out of the park. Oh, who do we have here?
Definitely a winner.
Hey, 2 cats for the price of 1 on this live stream. It's the Molly.
Hi.
Molly. Hey, cutie pie. Hi, Molly. It's the princess. She's like, I sleeping. You woke me up. You rude. Yeah, when I'm up in the front part of the house, Doodles will hang out with me. When I'm back here, Molly will hang out with me. We have territory.
That's the best. Oh, of course.
Back here is Molly's space. Ain't the Molly's face. Oh, hello, Molly. Oh, you give her the sketches. Get up close and personal with the kitty sketches. Yeah, we raised them from teeny tiny little bottle babies. They were about 3 weeks old, orphan babies. And so they're used to being handled all the time. I've pretty much got Molly trained to let me stim with her little body. She'll let me play with her tail. She'll let me chew on her tail.
Oh my goodness.
Well, not chew, but like pretend like I'm chewing on it.
Of course, of course.
And of course, she's laying on the pile of plush blankets because what self-respecting cat wouldn't? Because we are comfort demons.
I am unaware of any. That's right.
Yeah. Because we are comfort demons. We like the comfort. We like things that feel good. And I would reckon for her, it probably reminds us of what it might have felt like back when we had a fuzzy mama. And our mama wasn't some crazy giant ape.
Indeed.
But this is all she's known since she was 3 weeks old, so so this is normal for her. Yeah, we've got 3 cats that are a little species confused. Molly and Doodles, because well, they were raised by the crazy humans, not by a mama kitty. And then Lucifer, because he grew up from the time that he was 2 months old in a house full of dogs and no other cats. In that environment, you just kind of go with the flow. Like, well, this is what they do to get what they want. Okay. It's like, okay, that my friend here, that's my best friend, is when he wants something, he raises his foot. Okay, I will try to do that. Oh, I raised my foot. I got a treat. Yay. I'll do it again. It's like when you grow up around
they do
that.
learn quickly.
Yes, and I mean, Louis, he's half Maine Coon, so Maine Coons are smarties.
Right.
But
And
if you know
Billy,
anything
too.
about how Maine Coons became the way that they are, they had to be smart because they had to learn how to fend for themselves during the early formation of their breed.
That's true. I had a Maine Coon about 15 years ago, and he was massive. But
Louis passed these.
He had been the runt of the litter, so we weren't sure he was going to actually get all that big. But he had been like tied up in a plastic bag when we found him.
Oh.
I don't think it was intentional. I think he just like found a bag and got himself wrapped up in it. It didn't look like he had been, discarded or anything.
Oh, so it wasn't like a person had stuck him in that and been being mean to him.
Right. I think it was just that, he was born in a barn, and the mother had, a huge litter of cats, of kittens. And she had them like on top of the washing machine.
Oh.
And most of them were up there, but then he had like fallen to the side, and there were all these grocery bags there, and he got himself tangled up in it. Anyway, he's fine. Well, I mean, he's passed away now, but at the time he was fine.
He was totally fine.
But yeah, he was. Right. And
he was fine and happy and spoiled.
Yep, up until the end.
Happy and spoiled is what this one is.
And then that's what you want in a cat, though. You want them to be happy. the rescue we have now is he's so funny. He's about 3 months old now, and tears into everything, but he gets himself into all these scrapes, and we're just like, you really are. He's an orange cat, so you know, he's got 2 brain cells to rub together, and that's all. But he's so
he's lucky
sweet.
to have 2. And most of them have none. They get to borrow one occasionally.
He's definitely got 2 of his own, but that's all. And, but as soon as I got him, you know, he would like ride around in the hoodie of the pocket part of my hoodie until they got too big for that. And I'll just kind of cover his face with my hand, and I'm not going to squeeze or anything like that, but, you know, just kind of rub his face with my hand, and I'll say, I'm squishing your face. And now, if I'm asleep and he wants me to not be asleep, he'll come up and shove his face into my hand for face squishes. And it wakes me up because his nose is gold.
Oh no!
It's so cute.
Hilarious. That is hilarious. Molly will, if Molly wants to play and we're asleep, she will bring her toy, and she will bring whatever toy she wants to play with, and she will try to get our attention with it. And if she can't, because we're really, really asleep, then she'll just put it on us and go to the foot of the bed and wait for us to wake up.
Aww.
And I cannot count how many times.
She's like, finally, playtime.
I can't count how many times I've woken up with a purple pom-pom on my butt or something like that, or one of her little leather mice or something, just in an odd place that it wasn't when I went to sleep. And I think I've actually got a couple of videos on my channel of having woken up with a toy nearby that wasn't there when I went to sleep.
Funny.
And it's called, Hey Mommy, I Want to Play. Let's play fetch. Yes, she likes to play fetch. And, well, her substitute fluffy mama was my service dog.
Right.
Her substitute fuzzy mama was Ember. And so it's like, I took care of feeding them. Ember taught them how to be fuzzy things in this planet. And she even went so far as to attempt to learn how to purr so that her puppies would feel more accepted. That dog was so maternal. She would, if it was 2-footed, 4-footed, she didn't care. If it was small and seemed like it needed help, she was going to help it.
That's so sweet.
And she did that with Louie. She did that with all of the puppies that we've brought in. She did that with Molly and Doodles. She's done that with all of the children that we introduced her to. She was like, okay, I will help you take care of them. It's my job. They need to be took care of. I take care of them.
It's true.
She was a good doggo. I loved her very much. I still love her. And I do believe that they don't ever really go away.
No,
because
I don't believe they do either.
On occasion, we'll hear her tags around the house. And her tags were very distinctive. They had a different sound to them than Crypto's do or Jane's. And so we'll occasionally hear that, or when there aren't, neither of the cats are around and Jane and Crypto are in their crates for the evening. We will feel something fuzzy about the height that she was brush up against our leg. Nothing fuzzy
That's wonderful.
about that height to brush up against. Huh. It's like I do believe that there are things that we cannot see, and there are things that we have not yet found out or understand.
Absolutely.
And that's one of those things. And I do believe that she is still here.
That's so good.
It's like I believe in a lot of kind of out there things. I don't know what you know about empaths and real, true, legitimate empaths, like people that can actually.
Well, I always considered myself one. I always considered myself one for a long time because, like, I could go into, maybe just a store or something, and depending on the type of person who is there, I would literally just start breaking down or get physically nauseated from just the people around me. But I'm not sure how much of that was actually like if I am a true empath or if I was just really that unhealed.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen so much anymore. But I think probably a lot of that has to do with getting actually more in touch with my own emotions and understanding what they even are. But I'm definitely familiar with it. And I've also on the more paranormal paranormal side of things, I've definitely seen some things that can't be explained any other way.
Yeah.
So
the house
there's definitely more out there than we can understand.
The house I spent most of my childhood in was moderately active. It wasn't super active, but I would hear stuff when nobody was home but me. And I even as a 9-10-year-old child, I remember being tapped on the shoulder. Just me in my room. There was nobody but me in my room. Everybody else in the house was absolutely, definitely for sure asleep. We had no animals running around that could have done that. And some body thing, whatever, tapped me on the shoulder. But I've also been told that that's because I am a spirit medium.
Oh, interesting.
But that also goes into being a shaman.
All right, that makes sense.
A lot of people have a misconception about what being a shaman is or what shamanism is. But really what it is, in the simplest terms possible, is you're somebody that has come really close to death or has actually been clinically dead. And I have been more than once. Not through my hand, not through intentional means, just shit happens.
Right.
But once you have had that brush with death, you can have contact with both sides of the veil. Both where we are now and where we go after. And you can act as a bridge. So I can bridge that gap. And it's not always comfortable to be that bridge.
No,
because
indeed.
also when you have had that brush with death, you also kind of get this connection to the figure that is known as death, to that entity. I don't know
Mhm.
another way to describe it. But that
Yeah,
entity,
no,
that
I get
being,
you.
so you get a connection to that, and that sometimes gives you insight to stuff that you don't necessarily want to know, but because that you have that connection, you will know about it. And so I
Right.
spent a lot of my childhood teenagerhood, knowing when a pet was going to pass or when a friend's parent was going to die. One of the really clear incidences, one of my friends in high school, we shared an art class, and she was really close with her dad. Her dad was having
Mhm.
issues with complications to diabetes, and
Mm.
he was actually hospitalized end of life for complications to diabetes. And we knew that the end was coming up soon. We knew that he was going to pass away before too much longer. And we were getting ready to go on this
Right.
field trip for school. And I showed up for the field trip that morning, and I was sure that he was already gone. And so I showed up for the field trip, and I was
Mm.
like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I, your dad, he passed away, didn't he?" And she's like, "No, I we talked with the hospital this morning. He's still doing okay. He's still alive." And then 2 days later, he passed.
Mm.
And it's always been crazy shit like that.
Right.
And my mom has had encounters like that too.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it runs in my mom's side of the family.
Interesting.
um, and well, 2 days before her dad passed away, she was sure that he'd already passed, and she called her mom, and she was like, and grandma was like, "No, your dad's here. He's fine." And then 2 days later, he threw a blood clot, and it hit his brain.
Mm.
That was 75, so that was before deep vein thrombosis and all that stuff was really well known about and really understood. Um, Mom was pregnant with my older sister when that happened. But yeah, it's all kinds of weird stuff like that. And I've been in haunted houses. I mean, genuinely, for real, like vortexes and shit haunted. And I've
Oh
been in haunted
yes.
properties, and
There's a vortex near here where I live that I've been to, and let me tell you, there's some really weird shit that goes on there.
oh, I'm sure. A vortex portal opened up in the basement of my parents' house where I spent most of my childhood. And I was told it was because of me, because I am a spirit medium, and because I am a shaman, that formed. Because I wasn't I was in college when I started really figuring out and understanding what I was.
Mm.
And I just knew that growing up, I just knew that I knew stuff, and I didn't know how I knew stuff. I just knew that I knew it. And my husband coming into my childhood home for the first time, that was an eye-opening experience for him because he's sensitive. And so he encountered some people that were not physically here. Fun times for that.
I imagine not.
He hadn't really ever run into that before, and his new girlfriend has a really weird house, really weird girlfriend. And then he was crazy enough to marry me, so I think sometimes there's been some regrets, but not on my end.
Well, you know, at least he can't say it's been uninteresting, right?
Oh, no. Life with me is not boring. It's everything but boring. Of course, I try to keep it weird because, you know, the weirder it is, the more fun it is. Normal is boring. Why be normal? That's boring.
Absolutely.
Be weird. It's way more interesting.
I have no use for it. I have no use for it.
Wave the weird flag, chase the boring people away, attract the fun people. And usually the fun people are just as weird as you are. Sometimes weirder. My husband pops up. My husband pops up. Who accused
no one
you of
accused
being
you
normal?
of ever being normal.
Oh no, baby. I know that I'm not normal, and no one ever on this planet has accused me of being normal. And I strive to live up to that. I'm not normal. I don't like normal. Normal is boring. None of our animals are normal. Not even close. Molly tries to speak English. She doesn't quite succeed, but she tries. People are like, oh, you can't train cats to do anything. Oh, yeah, right, sure. You ought to check out mine, because they will sit on cue and they will raise their paw and say, please, for a snack. They respond to their names. They will call me by whatever name they've given me. It's like, yeah, we they are totally teachable. It's, you just have to understand how they think and how they work. It's like dogs are really easy for us to train because they are, what can I do for you? I want to figure out what I can do for you that will make you happy, because I want to make you happy. And when I make you happy, I'm happy. And it's all good. But cats, they're a completely different creature. Cats are, okay, you can hang out here with me, I guess. They're that aloof friend that they don't really, they don't care if you're there, but sometimes they miss you if you're not. But you know, sometimes you're just really needy and boring and annoying. But they're also very, what can you do for me? What is it that you can do to make my life better? And so if you look at it from that angle, okay, I want this cat to do something that she's not necessarily normally inclined to do, such as to sit and ask nicely for a snack. That's not something that cats typically do when they have not been taught. But if you make it attractive enough, and if you make it interestingly enough, and you make it worthwhile, then we will absolutely do whatever it is that you want us to do. Yes. We will go to the eating spot because that's where the food happens. Yeah, that works two ways. They have us trained to feed them at a specific time, but we have them trained to go to a specific spot to get that food.
There you go.
So it's a two-way street. So cats are just as teachable as we are. We just have to be careful about how that relationship is happening and who's running it. Because if you're not careful, the cat will run that relationship right out the door.
Oh, yes.
Although a couple of years ago, high summer, Lucifer snuck out of my mom's house because he figured himself for for having the fun life of a wild kitty. Because this having to stay inside most of the time thing, and having to be around the dogs, that's boring. That sucks. He wasn't digging that. So he decides high summer, hottest part of the summer that year. He was going to sneak outside and he was going to try the wild kitty life. He was gone for about a week. We found him through the help of some of my mom's neighbors. And he was never so happy to be back inside. Ever. The only other day that I saw him so happy to be inside was the day that he conned us into bringing him inside in the first place, when he was a 2-month-old kitten. Oh Lord! This cat, he was like, he had realized that when you're a wild kitty, no one gives you scratchings or food or brushes you or tells you you're a pretty kitty. I mean, yeah, you get to troll the dogs and you get to hunt, but you don't get all those soft, nice things that being a house cat gives you, like the gushies every evening. Yeah, gotta have that moist food. That doesn't happen if you're a wild kitty. You have to find your own food. Screw that.
Nope. That's pretty much how our rescue is now, because he knows he's got it good.
He's figured out which side his bread's buttered on, and he rather approves. He rather approves.
Oh yes.
Yeah, Lou. He had to rediscover that one the hard way.
Okay. The only thing that he can't figure out is that food only happens when food happens. Because if we just leave it all in the bowl all day, you will eat all of it. And that's not okay.
You will eat all of it all of the time and become a complete fat ass. Exactly. And that's not healthy.
Exactly. But he knows where we keep it. And he'll try to pull the panel on the food container open. So we're going to have to get a better one so that he can't pull the lid up and dig his face in there. Because he's figured it out now, and it's going to be a problem really quickly.
Okay, so instead of child-proofing, you're having to cat-proof.
Cat-proof the cat food.
Oh that's my! Funny.
But speaking of children, it is 9:00 here, so that means I have littles to get to bed.
Alrighty. Well, I tell you what. Why don't we do some kind of paranormal thing at some point?
That would be a lot of fun. I've been to so many haunted cities around the country and seen some really weird shit. So
cool.
That sounds like.
Let's dig into that some because
I think I just unplugged my
microphone. I have lots on that whole path there, because when you're spirit medium and a shaman and you're connected to the other and all of that just brings in all kinds of interesting stuff. Some of it not so good.
Right, it's not always nice. But this has been fun.
Light up like a bright light. But yeah, we'll
It's
get
not
into
always
that
what we
another
want.
day because you got stuff to do and I
Sounds
got to start supper.
good. Well, you have a lovely evening, and thank you to everyone who tuned in, and we will see you next time.
Yeah, man. And as always, you are enough. You are important. You are loved and you are lovable and you are awesome exactly the way you are. And we love you. We'll see you next time.